I recently got facial feminization surgery and wanted to share about my experience, what I wish I knew before, and to extrapolate what you should know before considering surgery from that. So this will be kind of a story time meets informational video, but mainly a story time video. The first topic is going to be how I knew and how you might know it's right for you. If you want to skip this part, there's a timestamp on the screen, but you'll be missing my embarrassing secrets. For me, my biggest and most inescapable insecurity was my schnoz, especially when I was in public. Like, it was literally in the back of my mind all the time when I was out and about, and every now and then at home it would creep in as well. The somewhat embarrassing part for me was because of how much I hated my side profile, I was like one of those optical illusions that was always looking at you just so I could hide it. 1,000 times over, people told me it's not as bad as I think. Even the surgeon said it's not as bad as I think. But you and I both already know they're just saying that. People only tell the truth when they're being mean. And I tried everything to get past it, but I simply just couldn't, you know? The key point here is I tried to amend the mental health aspect for years, and it was haunting my day-to-day life. So the choice was more an approach to helping my mental health and confidence than just my aesthetics. After my many years of saving and consideration, I felt this was a safe gauge to play by, but I'm also not a brain doctor, nor do I conform to the social stigmas surrounding this type of stuff, you know what I'm saying? Look, I'm gonna be completely honest, I went out of my way to say social stigma because we're gonna do a thing for the people that skipped to the timestamp. I just can't help myself. Social stigma. All of this brings us to our next very important point, avoiding botched jobs and regret. One of the main things is finding a good surgeon, but when I was looking, I found there was like a lot of fake reviews out there. Like straight up, even if they seem reputable, I do not trust the reviews on their websites. I did a ton of research and found a great surgeon for my schnoz, but I was also battling with this inner demon. See, when it comes to features like a schnoz, you want to aim for something that complements your appearance, as opposed to falling into the trap of asking for absolute extremes. A great example is when I was with my surgeon during the consultation, he was changing my face in real time, which was honestly kind of cool. Yeah, he was changing my face on the computer. He's not a nose wizard, unfortunately. During that time, I saw my face with a button nose, a very curved nose, kind of like a Whoville nose, a bunch of different noses, and I ended up finding one that was very balanced. I noticed the surgeon was very hesitant to give me his input. However, he gently guided me as I was looking for his insight, which is one of the things I wish I knew before the surgery. When I was sitting in the consultation where I ultimately chose my future schnoz, I had no idea how much it would fall on me to choose the look. Like, of course that makes sense, but there are some major traps you could fall into because of this that I'm about to mention. We found a nose that I was and am super happy with, but during the time between the consultation and the surgery, I was starting to wonder, oh, should I have gone like super feminine? Why didn't I get like a super nose, button nose, like curved nose, you know what I'm saying? But, oh man, I'm happy I didn't. But the point is, when you're spending that much money, you want to get as much as you can out of it. However, that can be a bit of a trap. The reality is, you have to keep in mind the overall balance of your face when it comes to some surgeries, like my rhinoplasty. Alright, I want to talk about my hellish experience during the surgery, as well as what I wish I knew before going in. Because I had to travel so far, there was like a month of me just being completely worried that I would get there and be turned away for some reason. And worse yet, if that were to happen, I'd be out my entire damage deposit, which took me a lot of effort to save up for. That plus the travel fees of gas and hotels, and oh my god, it was very... Don't worry, that's not even the bad part, but if you want to guess what it is, leave it in the comments, because that helps the algorithm, so you know what I'm saying. Give me some of them algorithm dudes, you know what I'm saying, like, subscribe, all that stuff. After a long wait and much deliberation, I was led into the surgery room, where eventually I would be put under, only to wake up midway through the surgery. And I don't know if you're squeamish or not, so I'm gonna try and keep this as PG as possible, but I woke up and I was fully conscious my body was completely rendered useless, and I felt them working on my nose. It literally felt like there was a hammer and chisel on my face, but I couldn't feel the pain, I just felt the pressure because, is this too much? This might be too much. Anyway, I'll save you the details. I had to go out of my way to groan so they would know that I was awake. After all that anxiety, the universe rolled a nat 1 just to f**k with me, and I love the universe for that. That's just good comedy. Screw you, universe, but also... you rascal. After the surgery, there was a lot I wish I was prepared for when I went in. I think one of the main things is how vulnerable and scared you feel after, I think, any surgery. Generally speaking, I'm a very hard-headed person, and I usually like to think I can do things myself. And fortunately, this time I had someone with me, but I was prepared to go alone. But as I woke up and as I was being prepped to leave the clinic, I don't think I've ever felt that scared and vulnerable. Also, I was given prescription pain meds because the pain is obviously obviously severe. They just chiseled my face. And that means that I can't drive for like a week. The pain is so severe if you don't take the meds that even then you still can't drive. So another thing I wish I knew is how much preparation really needs to go into the recovery process, which I'm sure is obvious to a lot of people, but I'm stupid, okay? Like, I got the antibiotics, all the medical supplies, but I didn't think that I wouldn't be able to drive for a week, and a bitch gotta eat, you know? I gotta eat groceries. Which brings me to another thing I wish I knew. If you're traveling to a surgeon, which you very likely will have to, you have to accommodate for driving back home, and it's likely that you won't be able to do that, so you'll need someone to do it for you. Which means you have to pay more for the hotel or transport, etc. It gets pretty expensive after a while. Which then begs the question, was it worth it? But before I say what I'm about to say, none of this is actual medical advice. This is just my experience, okay? So do not sue me. Okay, not allowed. With how I approached it and in my scenario, yes, it was absolutely worth it, but I can't speak for anybody else's experience. I used to hate my side profile, and now it's probably my favorite feature. A little bit of a nerdy thing is when I make characters in games, I try to frame them around my appearance, and not having to include my schnoz was a huge thing for me. Like, I downloaded Oblivion last night. Yeah, they made a remaster out of nowhere, and I was making my character, and the amount of relief I felt when I was crafting my nose was insane. If there's one thing I learned in all of this, it's this. A big part of this is abandoning the idea of who we want to be and embracing who we are and leaning into those strengths. Because pursuing the look of someone entirely else is how you get into traps of just doing surgery after surgery while never feeling completely whole. You've likely seen pictures of people that looked absolutely stunning and threw it all away for surgery. I think one of the hardest things about body dysmorphia is learning how to accept who we're not. But in turn, that also makes it a lot easier to see who you are and to love you for you. So yeah, this is a decision that you have to make, but I hope some of my experience and some of my learnings along the way has helped you out and helps you find the path that makes you happiest. Big thanks to G-Subs for sponsoring this video. If you want to support my future videos directly, then consider picking up some of their stuff. Each container is like 50 energy drinks, so I legit just save like a ton in the long run personally. So if you want to give it a shot, you can save 10% off with code genderfluid and support the channel directly. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye!